Alright everyone, it's time for Occult Literature video number 114, Dragons and Dragon Lore by Ingersoll. It's actually one of the better works that I've edited, better than most of the other academic works that are within that category until I split it apart. I'm putting a lot of them into folklore encrypted sort of material fairly soon. 166 pages in length, so a fairly full-length work, and extremely comprehensive, rather dense. Those of you who like the more academic style works, I think will have a greater appreciation for it. I'll get into a little bit of the meat and bones of some of the stuff that it covers, but it'd be difficult to actually make a literary update for all of it. So as always, link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon, second link to my books blog. Again, I will be adding a category for folklore and cryptids very soon. But I need to get this video made, and I want to do one other work, I think, on the subject. So by the end of June, there will be a new category. I've got several other folklore sort of academic works in the works, actually, now, as well as a short alchemical tract I want to get done, sort of rush out. It's very short. It's like 35, 40 pages or something. Ingersoll's work here, I think, is most notable for its treatment of the Hindu Naga. That is that there's actually a temple. I can't remember exactly where it is in India, but it has like carved serpents on the door, and they, I think to this day, still have never opened its lowest level because of that superstition. Like the town officials are like, no, there are serpents on the door. It's a Naga temple. You leave it alone, otherwise it would be cursed. Nobody's willing to actually do the labor of opening it up. Like the academics are like, yeah, we should open it, but you know, they don't want a revolt on their hands. I think that's actually still the case. It goes into a fairly elaborate treatment, as well as of Chinese mythology. It goes into a little bit of the sort of French and Germanic traditions. And then it also goes into English and Welsh tradition especially, because that's, of course, the main sort of European dragon stock. It comes from the British Isles, some from France. It goes into a little bit of the legend of St. George. And it goes also to Korea. It speaks about serpent lore the world over. So we're talking about centuries and centuries of research from primary sources mainly. There are a lot of quoted texts and texts referred to by Ingersoll in this work that span multiple cultures. It's not one of those academic works that are all too common, and they talk about just one culture. And they really, really have to stretch things out. They use a hell of a lot of filler, because there's like 50, 100 pages of actual material there, and they try to extrapolate it to a 300-400 page work. It doesn't work well, usually. It's like some people have criticized me, oh, why is this work you wrote only 200 pages or something? Well, I don't like the filler. I like these more dense philosophical or academic works. They leave out all of the fluff language, all the weird theatrics and reach-arounds, and that's really the kind of text that I enjoy. It also, by the way, helps to keep the cost down, as we see with this. $7.20 for the paperback instead of, I think it's $9.50 or something, was near the minimum cost for the last one on Unicorn Lore, which is not that much longer. So you can see the difference that's actually made when you hold the page length down, especially with your formatting. But this is definitely a highly recommended work. If you're interested in the draconic sort of side of mythology, especially with regards to Eastern tradition, this is definitely one of the best works that I've encountered myself, and I'm always looking for new cryptozoological works. By the way, if anyone has any suggestions for works on folklore or mythology as it deals with legendary creatures or anything associated with them from prior to roughly the 1930s, if you have a site that lists a bunch of these so I can search for them, I would be highly appreciative for that. So, as always, link in the description to my edition of this work on Amazon, a second link to my books blog. Again, new category coming soon. The psychic, sort of new age category will come later. I've held that off. I need to get into the folklore and cryptid stuff, I feel now. Astrology eventually will have its own category. That's something I'm interested in, but I'm not so knowledgeable about. I'm really more into like the legendary creatures of the grimoires or alchemy or something like that. And that's about all. Peace out.